Welcome to this deep dive, everyone. We're here to explore some really important ideas and keep you well informed.
Indeed.
Today, we're zooming in on something critical for anyone living in or just concerned about our cities: pollution.
Right. And specifically,
Specifically, how we can talk about solutions, really focusing on the power of public transport.
okay. And you brought a source for us to look at.
Yes, exactly. We're drawing from a resource designed to help people discuss clean cities in English. It's packed with practical language, real-world examples, really useful stuff.
Sounds good. Not just the problems, but the language for solutions, you said.
Precisely. That's our mission today. Pull out the key insights, help everyone grasp the main concepts, and crucially, get comfortable with the language to talk about it all.
Like a toolkit almost.
Exactly. A
Indeed.
toolkit for talking about cleaner cities. So let's dive right in.
Okay. Where does the source start us off?
It kicks off by highlighting pollution, obviously, as a major issue in modern cities. But then it presents this really fascinating case study.
Tell me more.
A major European city that did something pretty bold in 2023. They made all public transport completely free.
Wow. Completely free. That is bold. That's a massive experiment.
It really is. And the source says the initial results were, well, quite striking.
How so?
Within just 1 month, thousands of people apparently left their cars behind. They started using buses and trains instead.
Just 1 month. That's a quick shift in behavior.
A very quick and significant shift. Yeah.
And the environmental impact. I imagine that's where this gets really interesting.
You got it. The source points to improved air quality almost immediately, and a noticeable drop in noise pollution, too.
It really highlights that direct link, doesn't it,
Mm-hmm.
between how we travel and the health of our city environment.
Absolutely. It makes you think about what really motivates change. The source even mentions kids being able to play safely near roads that used to be dangerous with traffic.
Wow, that paints a picture, bringing it down to that personal level.
It really does. And the official numbers? The local government reported over a 30% reduction in emissions.
30%, that's huge, especially for a major city in such a short time.
Huge. Think about the health benefits alone from that kind of drop.
Definitely. But the source must also mention challenges, right? It can't all have been positive.
That's a fair point, and yes, it does. It wasn't, universally popular.
Okay. What were the issues?
Some drivers apparently complained. Things like finding parking became harder, and maybe some routes took longer because of the changes.
Right, so it shows the complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Any big change like this is bound to have ripple effects, and not everyone experiences them the same way. You have different stakeholders.
Exactly. It's a reminder you need to consider all those angles when you make big policy shifts.
And did this experiment, did it get noticed elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. The source says it sparked global interest. It mentions things like electric rickshaws becoming more common in India.
Another move towards sustainable transport.
Right. And also ongoing debates in the U.S. about how to actually fund public transit better. It shows this isn't just a one-city issue, it's a worldwide conversation.
Definitely connected globally. Okay, so the source also provides language tools, you mentioned, to help people discuss all this.
It does. Really practical stuff. Let's start with some phrasal verbs it highlights. First one, cut back on.
Okay, cut back on means to reduce using something, right?
Exactly. Like the examples, cities must cut back on car usage. Or, we need to cut back on fuel consumption. Pretty straightforward and very relevant here.
Makes sense. What's next?
Get around, which
Yeah.
just means, travel or move from place to place.
Like, it's easier to get around the city using public transport.
Precisely. Or, tourists often get around by using bicycles in Amsterdam. A basic one for talking about mobility.
Got it. Any others?
Yep, put up with. This means to tolerate or accept something unpleasant.
Like people shouldn't have to put up with dirty air every day.
Exactly that. Or the other example, I can't put up with traffic jams anymore. I think a lot of city dwellers feel that one.
I'm sure they do. Okay, and the last phrasal verb.
Switch over to. This is about changing from one system or method to another.
So more commuters are switching over to electric buses.
Right. Or, it's time we switch over to greener transportation. It really speaks to that idea of transition we need.
Okay, those are useful. Phrasal verbs can be tricky, but those seem key for this topic.
Definitely. Now, the source also emphasizes collocations, those word pairs that just naturally go together in English.
Right. Using them makes you sound more fluent. What collocations does it highlight?
First is air pollution levels. As in, air pollution levels are dangerously high.
Or reducing air pollution levels should be a priority. Yeah, you hear that one a lot.
For sure. Another big one, public transport system.
Makes sense. Like a reliable public transport system is crucial.
Or governments should invest in the public transport system, central to the whole discussion.
Okay, what else?
Carbon emissions. Examples like cars contribute heavily to carbon emissions.
And we can lower carbon emissions by taking trains. Fundamental term, obviously.
Absolutely. And finally, traffic congestion.
Ah, yes. Public transport helps reduce traffic congestion.
Or many cities suffer from extreme traffic congestion. Anyone who's been in rush hour knows that one well.
Too well, perhaps. Okay, so phrasal verbs, collocations. What else does the source offer?
It also points out some common language mistakes to avoid. Little things, but they can make a difference to clarity.
Good idea. Like what?
Well, for example, using the wrong verb with pollution. It reminds us pollution is uncountable, so it's pollution is rising, not are rising.
Good point. Subject-verb agreement.
Exactly. And another common one is forgetting the S in the third person singular present tense, like saying she always used public transportation.
Instead of she always uses.
Right.
That's an easy one to slip up on.
It is. And one more, using the base verb after want instead of the infinitive, saying the people want breathe cleaner air.
When it should be want to breathe. Yeah. Okay. Useful little grammar reminders.
Definitely helps polish things up. Then building on that, the source gives actual strategies for communicating effectively.
Like how to phrase things.
Yeah. How to express concern, how to suggest solutions, and how to explain reasons and consequences clearly.
Okay, practical phrases. Let's hear some.
For expressing concern, you might say something like, one of my biggest concerns is urban air pollution.
Or, I'm really worried about how pollution affects children. Direct, clear.
Exactly. And for suggesting solutions.
Maybe something like, I think governments should expand public transport.
Perfect. Or, we could offer incentives to people who bike to work. Constructive ideas.
And explaining the why.
Phrases like, because of heavy traffic, air quality is getting worse. Simple cause and effect.
Or, as a result of better transit, people drive less. Linking actions to outcomes. Useful frameworks.
Very useful. And finally, the source touches on something quite important. Managing speaking stress or anxiety.
Yes. Always helpful. What's the advice?
Simple but effective things, like remembering to pause and breathe. Don't rush.
Good one. Easy to forget when you're nervous.
Also, focus on just one point at a time so you don't feel overwhelmed. Practice key phrases so they feel more natural.
Makes sense. Get them into muscle memory almost.
And use personal examples if you can. It makes what you're saying more relatable, more engaging.
Right. Connects with people better. Good practical tips.
So, yeah, as we've kind of explored today through this source, the challenge of city pollution is significant, no doubt.
But that free public transport example, it does offer a really interesting glimpse of what's possible, doesn't it?
It really does. And hopefully everyone listening now feels they have a better set of tools, the vocabulary, the collocations, the communication strategies to, understand and talk about these vital issues more confidently.
The source is clear. Pollution won't vanish overnight. But better public transport? Well, it seems like a really strong lever we can pull towards cleaner, healthier cities.
Absolutely. So, maybe something for our listeners to think about. Consider your own city, or one you know well.
Okay.
What specific impact do you think making public transport free, even just for a trial, would have there? in that unique context.
An interesting thought experiment. What challenges might pop up? What benefits might you see specific to that place?
Exactly. Food for thought. We genuinely love to hear people's perspectives on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We really hope this exploration was insightful and gave you some valuable takeaways. Until our next discussion, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.